Okay, we are going to go over some of our slides on digestion and absorption. So here we go. Okay, so where does a digestion occur? Primarily, or really totally, it occurs in the GI tract. So GI tract basically starts with your mouth and ends with the other end, right? And along the way, we've got mechanical digestion. Mechanical digestion starts with your teeth, quite frankly, grinding your food down into bits, right? And then you've got in your stomach, you've got your stomach moving around, moving the food around. And then in your intestines, we've got what we call peristalsis. You'll read about that a little bit in your book. And peristalsis is the movement of the food through the small intestine. So those are all mechanical digestive systems, just like just systems that are physically moving your food around. Then you also have chemical digestion, and under chemical digestion, you've got enzymes and things like that, and acid and things that actually break your food down into individual molecules and things like that. So those are the two general kinds of digestion we have. So digestion begins in the mouth with a chemical and mechanical digestion. Really, the first thing that starts to chemically break down is the complex carbohydrates, which break down with the what we call salivary amylase, and you'll find that in your book. And then your food becomes what we call a bolus. It goes down your esophagus into your stomach. When it enters the stomach through the esophageal sphincter, and from there, you get more mechanical digestion. Your stomach contracts and makes all these movements and moves the food around. You've got chemical digestion from hydrochloric acid and pepsin and gastric lipase, which break down protein and fat. The one thing about the word lipase is you'll notice that anytime you find the word ACE, think of that as breaking things down. ACE means breakdown. Okay, that's just something you can file away in your brain and use it in nutrition or in general chemistry, really. So once this food is in the stomach and it's been chemically and mechanically digested there, we call it chyme or chyme. And from there, it goes through the pyloric sphincter into the small intestine. So most digestion and absorption really happens here. This is where stuff is digested. And in this small intestine, we've got what we call villi and microvilli. And you can think of these a lot like the fibers of a carpet. You know, the way you look at it, and it just kind of looks like one big thing, but then it's actually made of all these very small materials. And that's kind of the way microvilli and then microvilli are. So think of villi like these fingers that are sticking out, little tiny fingers, and the microvilli are little tiny fingers in those, on the sides of those. And you've got lots of good blood flow that goes right up in there. And the capillaries, the blood, goes right up into those microvilli, and food is actually absorbed through the walls of those microvilli into the blood. Okay, so in the digestion, you've also got the mechanical digestion of the peristalsis. I'm not too concerned with you knowing the difference between segmentation and pendular movement. Mostly just know that peristalsis is the mechanical digestion that moves things along. You've also got various chemical digestive secretions. Okay. One really important thing that you'll find when we cover our different nutrients is that almost all digestion and absorption happens in that small intestine. So if you're asked a question of where is this absorbed in the intestines or in the GI, the answer is almost always the small intestine. Okay, so your large intestine is really mostly what happens there is the absorption of water and electrolytes, right? So basically these digestive substances, most of the stuff has been digested and absorbed out of it. You got lots of water and electrolytes. It's the peristalsis moves it along, and the large intestine absorbs those water and electrolytes, right? Then it basically becomes poo there, and it's going to come out of the end, out of your rectum and the anus, and then what comes out as the stool is really bacteria, sloughed off GI cells. So your GI is constantly renewing itself, and the old cells are in there, along with some unabsorbed nutrients and water. Okay, so your digestive secretions, they start with, I'd like you to be generally familiar with what they are. So saliva has amylase in it, and it also basically works as a lubricant, as does mucus. You've got hydrochloric acid in the stomach. Read up a little bit in your chapter on bile and understand that bile is what helps emulsify fats. So bile helps fats be digested by allowing them to mix with the water in your GI. That's really important. Read about that in your book. You've also got bicarbonate that helps neutralize the hydrochloric acid. Then you've got enzymes such as amylases, which break down carbohydrates. Proteases, I've got a typo here on our slide. It should say proteases that help break down proteins, and lipases that break down fats. Remember, ACE means break things down. You've got other hormones such as gastrin, secretin, cholecystokinin, and GIP, and read up a little bit about those in your book. Okay, so other organs that are involved in digestion are going to be your liver, which helps regulate the metabolism of carbohydrates and protein, stores carbohydrates, stores vitamins. Also, it's involved in detoxifying alcohol and other drugs. So the liver is really important. The liver, for the most part, gets first pick of everything it wants from the GI. So there's lots of blood flow going from your gastrointestinal system to your liver, and that's very important to remember as well. Another organ that's very important is your pancreas. Your pancreas makes insulin and glucagon, which are involved in regulation of blood sugar. Also, it makes bile, which is then stored in the gallbladder. And remember, bile helps you digest fats. Okay. So there's a portion of your book of diseases in your GI. I'm not going to ask you too many detailed questions in it, but you should read it, be familiar with it. You may be asked a simple question about those. Okay. Other systems that are involved in the digestive processes are the nervous system, which can affect hunger and satiety for sure. You got your circulatory system, which is obviously very important, right? The circular system carries things to and from the GI, to and from the liver, right? And so the circular system carries all those digested foods. They carry the molecules and things where they need to go. So that's why it's very important. You've also got the lymph, which is an alternative circular system, and the kidneys that also are involved. Okay, that was a fairly short slideshow. We're just going to call it there, and I'll have more up for you soon.